Hello, and welcome to VANTAGE Viewpoint, a program where we plan to talk about positive aging. We hope to share with you examples of people who have embraced the aging process, provide you with information on how you can age positively, and introduce you to the people and organizations in our area that are supporting older adults' desire to remain in their own home and age with dignity in their communities. My name is Dawn Meglin. I am the Senior Director of Community Engagement with VANTAGE Aging. VANTAGE is a nonprofit headquartered in Akron, Ohio, with offices across the state. We provide multiple services to help older adults age with dignity in their own homes. And those programs include Meals on Wheels, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, job training in 38 Ohio counties, specifically targeting adults 55 and older, home care, and behavioral health solutions. So welcome. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in with us. Growing up, we always heard the expression, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But did you know that volunteering can actually help your health and be good for your mental health as well as your physical health? In 2015, the Corporation for National and Community Services conducted a study of volunteers that were part of the Senior Corps movement nationally. This study examined the impact of volunteering on older adults, and here's what the researchers found. Almost 2/3 of the Senior Corps volunteers reported a decrease in feeling socially isolated. 67% of those who first reported they often lacked companionship stated that they had improved social connections. 70% of volunteers who initially reported 5 or more symptoms of depression reported fewer symptoms at the end of the first year. So, as the expression goes, numbers don't lie. These facts strongly indicate that volunteering promotes healthy aging. And we have with us today the director of the Retired Senior Volunteer Program from VANTAGE Aging, one of my favorite coworkers. We also call this program RSVP of Summit and Medina Counties, Erica Banks. Erica.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me
It's
on.
nice to see you here and outside of the office.
Right. Changing scenery.
It is a change in scenery, isn't it? So, Erica, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of what your role at VANTAGE Aging is?
Yes. So, I am, of course, the director of RSVP, and I oversee the program. I recruit volunteers in Summit in both Summit and Medina counties. I recruit volunteer stations as well in both counties. I report out on the grants. So we are federally funded through the National Corporation of Community Service. And of course, we have to report out and things like that. So I recruit, I retain, so that the volunteers have an impact in the community.
Great. So you just mentioned the word volunteer station.
Yes.
I know that when I started with VANTAGE, I had never heard that term before. What is a volunteer station?
So a volunteer station can be a nonprofit organization with a 501c3, or it can be a government agency. And so the volunteers that I recruit, we place them in those volunteer stations, and they make the impact. So they collect the information as far as the hours that the volunteers serve. They also collect data for surveying to show that we are moving the needle towards a positive impact in the community.
Wonderful. Great, that's great. So can you talk a little bit about Senior Corps and what Senior Corps is, what does it include, and the Corporation for National and Community Services and what they do?
Yes. So I'll step back just a little bit. So just another point about RSVP, it is one of the largest volunteer programs in the nation for seniors.
Wow.
So that's very, very important. We're very fortunate to be a part of CNCS, which is what we call for the National Corporation for Community Service. So we're very grateful for that. And your question was?
Explain how what Senior Corps is and how that fits into everything that you do.
So
with
Senior
RSVP.
Corps is the umbrella. basically under CNCS. So there's three main programs underneath it. RSVP, of course, being one. There's also the foster grandparents, and then there's a senior companionship, and that's found all throughout the state of Ohio as well as the nation. We are just fortunate enough to have RSVP specifically here for Summit and Medina Counties.
Great. So what is the purpose of RSVP? Is it just for people to go out and volunteer wherever they want to volunteer?
So you may think so. You might think so from the outside looking in, but it's more. It's a positive impact. So we target, there's specific focus areas that we have, whether it's economic opportunities or environmental stewardship or healthy futures. We take that information and we find specific volunteer stations that fit that need, and we send volunteers out there. So if it's healthy futures and it's about companionship, the telecare program, which I can go into details about, but telecare, it's contacting and filling that void for social isolation and contacting, and did it make a difference? Did that phone call from telecare, did that make a difference for the senior or for anyone else? Same with food insecurity, the impact of the distributing food out or packaging the food. Did that help your family out? Did that help the families out who are in need? So that's where, that's the purpose of it, to make that positive impact, to change that, to move that needle. And we report that out on the state level to show the impact that we are moving it. So that's why those volunteer stations are so important, because they help us collect the information so that we can report out. They're kind of our advocates to collect the information for us to send to the state.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the Corporation for National and Community Services is the federal funder of this program.
Yes.
So VANTAGE Aging's RSVP program is a grantee.
Yes, and it's we just actually got our new grant. We started April 1, and it's for 3 years. So it goes every 3 years, where they give us different focus areas for the community needs that we need to focus on.
Wonderful. And because this is a federally funded program, and because Vantage has several funded programs federally provided for us, we know we have to do a lot of reporting.
Definitely.
So we definitely have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are moving the needle in the communities we serve.
Yes.
So volunteers with RSVP are not just giving back to any volunteer station or nonprofit. They're actually expected to provide impact in the community, which is a big word with funders today, is that we're making an impact.
Yes.
Measurable outputs and outcomes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where those surveys come in. So again, if it's food insecurity, did that food actually help your family? Or whether you came back once or whether you came back just a couple times after that, to make sure that you were secure and your family was secure and didn't need the additional services.
That's great. I think that's amazing. I think it's very important as stewards of funding that nonprofits are being held accountable to make sure that they're making a difference with those dollars. And I think it's amazing that the Corporation for National and Community Services really holds our feet to the fire to make sure that we are doing something that's making a difference in the lives of the people we serve.
Yes.
Now, because the RSVP program targets specifically older adults, 55 and older, that doesn't mean that we're only serving older adults.
Agreed. We have education is another focus area that we have. We have YMCA Catch, where they are educating the youth. We have Oasis as well as a volunteer station who tutors the youth. So it's not seniors serving seniors every single time. It's seniors serving the community. It may just happen to be seniors.
Okay, great. So you've described a few, but are there other volunteer stations that you can share with our viewers that our volunteers are actually actively participating at?
Definitely. I'll mention one in Medina County. Right now, we don't have any volunteers in Medina County, but we are recruiting for volunteers here in Medina County. But we just made a partnership with Medina Parks and doing various opportunities there. So it's very important that we get some volunteers out there, especially with them being a new volunteer station. So that's one. I talked about food insecurity, so I have a few agencies that deal with food insecurity. That's a big one. It's also a more rewarding one because the volunteers get that impact or see the change and the difference instantly.
Right.
I talked about YMCA Catch and Oasis, the Akron Canton Regional Food Bank, of course, but that's dealing with food insecurity, and they are in Medina County as well.
Open M is another large
Open M
volunteer
is very,
station
very large.
for Vantage.
Yes, Green Good Neighbors has the most volunteers. I do believe they have over 55 volunteers.
Wow, in one space.
In one space, and they're continuous. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that they have going on there. Yeah.
And we're looking for more volunteers
and volunteer stations. Yes,
in Medina as well as Summit County.
Definitely. We want to maintain and build as well, and be visible, because a lot of seniors, they want to volunteer, they just don't know where to volunteer, or they know where to volunteer, but being tied with us on the national level, it's just bigger. It's very, very important. It's very impactful.
Largest network in America.
Yes.
They can join us and be part of the largest network of volunteers.
And with it, of course, we get to celebrate in April. Every April we have a recognition ceremony where we all come together and we celebrate the impact that we do.
That's
in the community.
National Volunteer Month, isn't
yes,
it? April.
It is.
Okay,
so it's perfect.
We just celebrated and honored all of our volunteers.
And we had a lovely time. We had Judge Stormer, who came and gave a beautiful speech and empowered us all to volunteer, whether you were RSVP or just a regular person just out in the community, but it was very impactful.
I think we actually might have even recruited a few people from that event. They enjoyed what they were so inspired by Judge Stormer at that event. So can you describe for us, Erica, what type of activities a volunteer can expect to do at a volunteer station? So let's just say Open M, because that's one of our largest volunteer stations at RSVP. What would they be expected to do on a daily basis?
So on a daily basis, so you can schedule yourself how you want. So that's the beauty about it too. You know, you have other things that you want to do, or maybe because you're retired, you just don't want to do too much. Maybe you just want to go in for a couple hours a week. Absolutely fine. That's the beauty about RSVP. But for Open M specifically, they have a hot meal program as well as a food pantry, and then they do Mountain of Food. So their direct distribution, which is the largest with more produce and healthier items by the bulk, so they can give out more. So it could be making phone calls to make sure that the seniors come and get their senior food box. It could be physically handing out loaves of bread for the direct distribution. It could be preparing the meals for the community as they come in and need a meal. It could be packaging the food to make sure they have their bags ready and ready to go out the door. It's a number of things that you can do, and all of it is impactful. Even if you think that, you know, I'm just making a phone call, that phone call can help someone.
Absolutely. Yes, we do know about those phone calls, don't we?
Yes.
So let's talk about those phone calls. So we often hear from many of the homebound clients that we have at Vantage Aging, because we serve people with Meals on Wheels. They're homebound. Our home care clients are homebound. They still want to be active. I know when my grandmother was homebound, you know, she loved nothing more than a phone call. So is there an opportunity for volunteers to be homebound and still give back to the community and make a difference?
I'm so happy you said that. So one of my favorite programs, and I think I want to say, and this is just me, but I want to say it's the most impactful as well, is our telecare program. And what telecare is a senior is linked to another senior, and it's to help tackle social isolation. So let's say I'm a senior, and let's say you're a senior.
Technically, I am.
I knew you. I was waiting for you to say it.
Technically, I am.
Then I would call and check on you, and it's just a simple phone call twice a week. I find out like your interests, what days and times you'd like to be reached. You know, we don't have to talk every single day. If you choose to, that's absolutely fine. But if not, it's just a mutual agreement between the two of us. We talk about your interests. I have one person who receives calls who just answers the phone and says, "I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for calling," and gets off the phone. But it makes a difference. So just by her answering the phone, we know that she's okay. We know that she's doing well because she was able to tell us that, and then she got off the phone. We log that information. That information is sent to our office, and then we log it to keep record of it. We also have some recipients of the calls who may have a full conversation. You know, I had a great day today. I walked the dog. I was able to get out. I was able to be in the garden and things like that. So it's you don't have to physically be out just to make a difference. That one phone call, we have some recipients of the call who don't have family, or the family is far away, or that one phone call might be the only contact that they have. Right. So it makes a difference. And the beauty about it, we've had those who receive the calls also be callers. So it's like a domino effect. I call you, you call someone else. Everyone is impacting someone else and tackling social isolation.
So the recipient sometimes becomes a volunteer themselves.
Definitely.
That's
definitely,
amazing.
Definitely.
Talk about paying that forward.
Yes.
And really seeing a full circle effect of volunteerism. That's amazing.
Yes. And to hear people call all the time like, hey, I haven't talked to so-and-so in a while. Can you check on them? I'll check on them, and they'll say, oh, I love talking to that person. I love talking to them. I missed our phone conversation because I had to go to the grocery store, or whatever the case may be. But it's a beautiful thing, and it's so positive.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's a great program.
It is.
So one of the things that Vantage has done successfully is partner with community organizations such as Summit County Department of Job and Family Services, Adult Protective Services. Yes. So can you explain how our partnership with them works between several of the VANTAGE Aging programs, including our Behavioral Health Solutions program and RSVP?
I can. So with APS, we call it APS for Adult Protective Services. APS sends referrals to our Behavioral Health department at VANTAGE Aging. So they analyze what's going on in the situation if they need those services. In addition to that, for those who are feeling lonely or isolated or may need that extra phone call, they referred over to RSVP. So that is how Vantage is. We do wraparound services as well. So even though the client may be there just for behavioral health, they look to see what else can benefit them, whether it's a meal or a phone call, or if they want to get back out into the workforce, whatever. We're able to provide that. So APS is a partnership with behavioral health, but behavioral health also made it a partnership with us. So we link our volunteers with those clients through APS, and they're able to be served as well.
So that's a great example of collaboration in the community and leveraging other partners' resources to benefit the aging population.
Summit County has been Summit County Department of Job and Family Services and Adult Protective Services have been very helpful to Vantage Aging, specifically for RSVP as well.
That's great. So how hard is it to become a volunteer? Walk me through that process.
All right, so it's very difficult.
I know you're kidding.
You have to be 55 years or older. You have to be in Summit or Medina County for me. All it is an application. It just lists your general information, and then we ask about your interests and your skills. So if you're a retired teacher and you have skills of, dealing with the youth and education and things like that, we can tie you to YMCA Catch or to Oasis. But you could also be a retired teacher and you've been dealing with this for 30 plus years, and maybe that's not the field that you want to go. Right.
Maybe you want to go outside.
Which is understandable. So maybe an interest might be telecare, or an interest might be food insecurity. We take that information, we put it into the system, and we analyze that. We also have a phone call or an interview, a face-to-face interview, and we will be having orientation soon to where we get to know you a little bit better and see what where you want to go, what you want to do. And then that's where we tie you in with the volunteer stations.
Wonderful. I understand there's opportunities for volunteers to also be brand ambassadors for Vantage Aging.
Yes, which is well needed. So brand ambassadors are needed because I am only one person. And there's so many opportunities for us to share the information about Vantage Aging and RSVP more specifically out in the community. Because there are so many opportunities, we need to make sure that we're touching every place. Right. So of course, with me being one person, your department, it's only a few of you guys,
right.
So having those brand ambassadors to be knowledgeable about the services that we provide, and to be a person of RSVP, to say, I do the work, this is what I do. it's a beautiful thing to network out into the community, to get that information out there, to recruit and things like that. So brand ambassadors are very important. Those are what we need in Medina County specifically.
Yes, absolutely wonderful. So Erica, if somebody wants to learn more about the opportunities that are available, how do they find out about what opportunities are available, and how do they sign up if they're interested to learn more?
So to learn more about the opportunities, you can call us at 330-253-4597. You can also visit our website at www.vantageaging.org. All our opportunities are listed on our website. You can also give me a call at any time, and we can walk you through the process.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Erica Banks. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, because I do know how busy you are, and sharing information with us about Vantage Aging and RSVP and how you can get involved in our community's efforts to support positive aging through volunteerism. Statistics show it helps improve your mental health as well as your physical health, and it helps you feel connected to your community and gives you an opportunity to give back. So Vantage Viewpoint is actually going to be airing here monthly on WCTV, and next time we're going to be chatting with John Roberts, and he is one of our amazing project directors, and he covers a large part of the Cleveland area as well as Medina as part of our Workforce Solutions program. And that is a job training program for older adults 55 and older that are low income. What we do is we help to provide them an opportunity to gain experience and retool themselves for today's workforce. And John will be joining us next time to share information about that program. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. We greatly appreciate it. We hope you will join us in our mission to promote positive perspectives on aging. And remember, we're not growing older, we're growing bolder, and we hope you'll join us in that mission. Thank you.